We're joined this morning by three people who are, I would have to say, on the front lines of an issue that has become a growing conversation in our country, and that is a justice system that's obviously broken. Among the two exonerees that we have in studio, and Billy Smith, talk about the experience emotionally for you.
While I was in there, everything was dark, and I was crying out, and I didn't have anything to hold on to but hope, because everything else was taken away from me. I didn't have anything.
Yeah.
I had to look somewhere else. You know, It was too big for me.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I learned growing up as Christian is that, you know, when it's too big for you, give it to God.
There you go.
So I'm saying, so in that, you know, I found my way back to God. And so when I come out and I came out and the well spit me up, I started getting to school. I started doing things that I know that would change my life or to have taken a positive influence. I wouldn't get involved in the prison gangs, the prison drugs, the running the prison women officers, the homosexuality, and all the things, the negative things you get involved in that could cause you to actually get a real case and stay in prison. So if I had any hope of getting out and beating this case, you know, I had to hold on to something better than me. And so I held on to my hope. And someone told me one time, said, if life knocks you down looking up, you can get up. And I looked at that. Life had really knocked me down. You know, I was taken by surprise.
Yes.
And one day I found myself on my back looking up. And neighbor said,
and then one person to rely on.
And that was God. I was on my back. I was looking up, but I was looking up to God. And so, and God was reaching out. He said, and you know, and it's like he told me, say, I got something better for you, you know. And so, I never could have made it through it without God's help. That this is truly was God's will. And this song out now by Mr. Sapp, he said that what he said. When everybody else saw the worst in you, God saw the best in you.
That's right.
So through prison, God seen the best in me. He changed me. Amen. He made me a better person. Yes. And he fixed me so when I got out, see today I'm married. I'm happily married. I got a family. You know, I'm going on with my life. I'm doing things. I'm surrounded by positive people. I'm doing things that mean something. It's not a young person out here today that I can't say something to. I live the life, I walk the walk, I talk the talk. I know what to tell a young person to help him set him on the right course, because if you've been there and you've done that, you shouldn't sit back and let them continue, because I made a legacy for them.
And you
see what I'm saying?
That with
God, all things are possible. If you know, it's an old saying, if I can do it, you can do it. That's true. And it can happen overnight.
Well, I tell you what, Dorothy Budd is evidence of the fact that what you're willing to do for others, God will do for you.
Well, I'll tell you, when you hear these men speak, Scott, you can see why my daughter and I thought that it was an important thing to make sure that their voices were heard, because there's only a few men in every generation who are in such a powerful position to speak to issues of justice and injustice, but also to have such testimonies of hope and endurance and resilience. And I'm so glad they're here telling them to you today.
I am too. Christopher Scott, 12 years you spent in prison for a crime you didn't commit. Billy Smith has shared his moving story of what happened to him in prison and now out, a different man, a changed man, a renewed life. It's the power of what God can do. Chris, you had a dream of returning to a woman that you loved.
That's correct.
How'd that turn out?
Well, it turned out pretty good. It turned out real well, as usual well. At the point in time when I first met Brandy, we was working at a convenient grocery store, Tom Thumb. And I always used to come to work when I was off just to see this girl. Yeah, because she was so beautiful, had a beautiful smile. And the connection was so powerful that I know by the grace of God, this was my soulmate and this is the one God had chose for me. So at the time that I had got convicted for capital murder and was facing a death penalty and a life sentence out at the same time, thank God that I beat the odds of the death penalty, and they just gave me a life sentence. Life had to go on, and I could fight for my life to get back to the girl that I really and truly loved. And so she used to come down to see me all the time. And it had got so hard for me seeing her come and have to leave me, and knowing that I had a lot of time to do, I had to sacrifice my love that I have for her and to tell her that I'll
Move on with your
choose
life.
her to move on with her life because it's unfair to you being young and still can bear children that you have to wait for me for 40 years. And it was kind of hard for both of us to go through that together. So she kept coming until one day I told her again, you know, it hurt me to see you leave. Please don't come back. But she kept coming back. Then one day I knew it was a final over. I go to commissary, which is where you go buy food at. And I have a substantial amount of money on my books. And I knew that was the end of our relationship. And
You know what? Unfortunately, time is running out, but you're back with her now, aren't you?
well, that's something you'll have to
Read the book about?
Read the book about it and it'll
Man,
tell
I
you.
take, well, you know what? I can't think of a better way to tease. Tested. Tested. How 12 rawly imprisoned men held on to hope. Chris, Bill, Reverend Bud, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.